one of the roles that I fill at the company that I own is as the designated lab manager. And what that means is I basically raise my hand to the state and say, hey, listen, everything that goes on at my state-approved lab and EPA-approved lab, I'm responsible for that. If anything goes wrong, I'm the guy that'll pay the fines, go to jail, lose my license, whatever, that's me. And because it's my license and my life and my money on the line, I take the difficult questions that the lab has, things that involve, you know, drinking water chemistry or biology or anything like that. I'm the guy that answers those questions. And I do a pretty good job at it. As a matter of fact, nobody has called me with a question about drinking water and stumped me in like 3 years. I've had answers for every single thing. But today, I got stumped. At 8:15 this morning, I got a phone call from a gentleman who wanted to know if we test water for brain-eating amoebas. No, we don't. Now this guy's panicking. You can tell on the phone. He wants to know, well, do you know of a lab that tests drinking water for brain-eating amoebas? And I was like, I know of about 100 labs, and not one of them that I know tests for brain-eating amoebas. This guy says, well, I need to get my water tested for brain-eating amoebas. I was like, if you don't mind me asking, what has brought this to fruition? Why are you suddenly concerned about brain-eating amoebas? And, you know, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, this is not really something to get excited about, because if you don't have a brain-eating amoeba, there's nothing to worry about. And if you do have a brain-eating amoeba, there's nothing to worry about, because you're gonna die. Okay? Like, there's nothing you can do to change the outcome. You're either gonna live or you're gonna die. It's not up for discussion. There's no need on getting bent out of shape about any of it, because you can't change it. But I was like, what causes you to have this question? He says, well, I had a really bad sinus problem. I'm like, yeah. He goes, so my wife convinced me to use a neti pot. I was like, okay. Now, for those of you that don't know, a neti pot is this weird little thing where you squirt water up your nose and it kind of flushes everything out, and then a whole bunch of goo comes out your other nose. You do that back and forth and it cleans out your sinuses. It's a disgusting process. I don't do it, but I know about it. But he had these sinus problems. His wife convinced him to use the neti pot. He used the neti pot and it gave him relief. His sinuses were better. Congratulations. You sprayed water in your nose and pressure washed your sinuses. But then he sat down for breakfast with his loving family, which includes his 12-year-old son, and he explained what he had done. And his 12-year-old son goes, but Dad, what about brain-eating amoebas? You just sprayed well water into your brain. You could die. Well, this guy apparently went and Googled what a brain-eating amoeba was and got the shit scared out of him, because, you know, when you get one, you die. It's not really up for discussion. You have one, you're dead. It's just a matter of how long, okay? So he's in a panic to get his water tested. I was like, well, let me do a little bit of research. I'll give you a phone call back. I do a little bit of research. Didn't find out much. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna call a guy at the CDC. Call the CDC. Of course, nobody answers. It's the federal government. I mean, I didn't expect anybody to answer, but what the fuck? I leave my message. I'm like, hey, my name's James Butler. I'm the lab manager for this lab. We've got a question about brain-eating amoebas. Can you give me a phone call back? I never expected to hear anything back from the CDC at all, because it's the federal government. They're not gonna call. Yeah, apparently they do. 4 minutes later, I've got a PhD on the phone. Hi, this is Dr. So-and-so with the CDC. Heard you had a question about brain-eating amoebas. This guy just sounded educated by the way he spoke. Like, I was impressed before he even told me his credentials. I was like, wow, man, I never expected to hear anything back from y'all. He goes, well, whenever you mention brain-eating amoebas, it gets people's attention. Like, in 4 minutes? Jeez. I wish 911 had a response time like that. In any event, I posed the question. He kind of laughs it off. He's like, drinking water wells, while it is technically possible, it's highly unlikely. Your guy is not going to have a problem with brain-eating amoebas. Call him back, reassure him. You're predominantly going to get these brain-eating amoebas whenever you're swimming in like lake water and you stir up the silt at the bottom and then inhale the water and all of that other stuff. He says you've kind of got to go out of your way to get one. I was like, oh, well, that's great and nice to know. I call the guy back and I'm like, hey, this is the deal. You don't have to worry about a brain-eating amoeba. And he was like, well, thank you. I'm so glad that you called and let me know that. It just makes me feel so much better. But I've done my own research and I've decided that I need something to make it to where there's nothing alive in my well. What is the best UV light that you guys sell? It's like, well, the top of the line UV light's like $1,500, parts, labor, and installation. But, you know, you should probably do like some bacteria tests on your water and see if you need it. He's like, I don't care if I need it. He's like, the idea that there could be a brain-eating amoeba in my water, I'm getting a UV light. Homie, I don't mean to scare you, but do you have any idea the shit that could be in your water, the shit that is in your water that your body just naturally handles because we have an immune system and defense structure? Like, if you started growing the shit that is in city water and private water and bottled water, you would be disgusted. You would be trying not to drink water. But this man wants the best UV light that we sell. And listen, you know, I'm in business to make money. I tried to talk him out of it and tell him you probably don't need it, but there's no convincing him. He's done his Google research and he must forever defend his sinuses from brain-eating amoebas that may or may not be present in his well. Good for him. He's gonna feel comfortable. I'm gonna make some money. This is what we call a win-win situation. But for the rest of you, you probably don't need a UV light to protect yourself from brain-eating amoebas. Yet. Not yet, anyway. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. The best way to support the channel is to like, subscribe, share the video, or go check out the merch store. If you have a septic system, go buy some BioOne. It's for sale in the YouTube and TikTok merch store. Y'all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later.